Hey, Russell, remember me? Hey, Russell. Hey, how you doing? Russell, remember me? Yeah, swirly whirlies. Russell, remember dunking my head in the toilet with poop in it? Not so funny now. Oh, wait, why are you talking behind my back? Say it to my face. Oh, you got a video of me with my head covered in poop. Try to rub poop on me now. See what happens. Oh, try to rub poop on me. See what happens. I dare you. Rub poop on me. No, come on, rub poop on me. What, you don't want the smoke? Don't you coward out. Come on!
Podcast listeners, this is a special episode for you. We've got a full squad here in the factory, Tass along with Skeets, Trey Lee, and of course JD. We'll talk Kyrie and a whole lot of NBA rumors in a little bit. But first, we turn to an old friend to prep us for the NBA draft that takes place on Thursday, June 23rd. John Hollinger, of course, has 7 years leading the Grizzlies front office. But more importantly, he watches every college, international, and G League player play basketball. He even goes down to watch the OTE here in Atlanta, an alternative league to the NCAA or G League. Man, this guy does it all. We tried to get him in studio, but he's got so many deadlines coming up for The Athletic. He'll be live blogging the draft, I'm sure. He's so busy, so we thank John Hollinger for joining us. What's going on, John?
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm just sweltering in the dark here in the Atlanta heat, just like you guys.
That's what we do. All right. Let's just start right at the top of the draft, John. We've got our Sham reporting that Auburn's Jabari Smith, a virtual lock to go in the top 2 in the draft, and he's only worked out for those 2 teams, the Magic and the Thunder. But according to Shams, he remains a favorite to go number 1. So let's just get to the question everybody wants to know. Is Auburn's Jabari Smith going number 1, John?
I actually think there's a decent chance Chet Holmgren ends up being Orlando's pick.
Wow.
I just feel like the story adds up. The story adds up a little bit. That they love length. They haven't, like, a lot of times by this point, a team will have kind of committed to a guy and they haven't, which is, I guess, is a little unusual. Like that Zion Ja draft lottery, for instance. Like, we knew 2 days after the lottery who the top 2 picks were going to be, and we haven't quite gotten to that point yet. So. Pardon me, I need more coffee.
It's a big week.
Exactly. So I think there's a decent chance Orlando takes Chet Holmgren.
Amazing. But you have him out of your top 3, right? Because consensus top 3, Jabari Smith, Paolo Banchero, and Holmgren, nobody necessarily knows which order, but you've dropped him to 4 and replaced him with Purdue's Jaden Ivey, who is becoming a darling of these pre-draft write-ups. So why did you sub him in for Chet?
I just think if you look at the past history of drafts, that teams have overdrafted the center position, and most of these centers, unless they really hit at a very high level, end up getting either played off the floor or has seen their role reduced as we get deeper and deeper in the playoffs. So I understand. I mean, Holmgren, he could be Rudy Gobert with a 3-point shot, right? Like, that's his ceiling. So he could turn out to be an awesome player. I wonder about him, like, being left on an island defensively. Like, is he really going to hold up, in kind of that playoff switching environment, or is he going to get exposed too? And then offensively, like, he reminds me of Miles Turner more than kind of a big star. He has more of a complimentary game. Like, he can shoot, he can handle the ball a little, but he's not going to post anybody up with that frame of his. And I don't think he's not like a super bouncy rim runner type either. He can do that some, but so that's why I put him fourth, because I see him more as a starting center, certainly, and maybe even a very good starting center. But I think as you get to the deeper levels, like, having perimeter talent counts for more. So Jaden Ivey, his ability to break teams down off the dribble and get wherever he wants, I just think that skill set has more value the deeper and deeper you go in a postseason.
How does this year's draft, John, stack up to last year's draft talent or depth overall? If you were to compare the two, because I'm a noob when it comes to this.
I think last year's draft is going to go down as being very, very good.
Okay.
like almost on par with that 2018 class. So this year's I would not put in that caliber. 3-4 pretty good players at the top, drops off fairly quickly after that. I don't think it's a great draft if you're picking like 7 through 15. I think it's there are other years you could feel more sure about where you're getting. I think this year you're throwing darts. After that, I mean, 16 through 60, I think the draft is pretty much the same every year. But at the top end, you look at the top 15 players, I don't think it's a particularly strong draft, no.
And because of that, do you think we're going to see more trades than even normal on draft?
We're going to see a bunch of trades, not because the draft sucks, but because the free agents suck.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah. There's just not a lot of players out there in free agency who are A, free agents at all, and B, gettable even if they are free agents. And so with so few like starting caliber players in play, teams are going to turn to trades to fill out their lineups and get the pieces they want. And I think the other thing that's happening is a lot of the teams that are in the lottery are not necessarily super patient right now. And so you're looking at these teams like Sacramento, Washington, New York, who are like the Portland, you're talking about picks 4, 7, 10, 11, and they're trying to get talent to win now. And so those picks are in play.
Who do you think is more likely to trade their pick, John, between the Kings and the Blazers? Because like you're saying, it's likely the Kings are going to have a little bit of pressure to make the playoffs here. The Blazers, as we know, have been in the playoffs for quite some time and then fell out last year after Lillard went down. It seems like either of those picks could be in play just for adding veterans that are going to help eventually. Who do you see more likely actually making a move on draft night?
I think it's more likely that Portland does. I just think there's more potential avenues for them to do a trade, whether it's a trade down or a trade entirely out to get a player. They have that $20 million trade exception. So they can do that pick for a player, and it's not complicated. You see, Sacramento, they have to match salaries and stuff if they trade the pick for a player. So there's other things that get in the way. So it gets a little messy once you start talking about Sacramento.
I wonder about Sacramento and their position, specifically positions on the basketball floor. Do they draft another guard? Is it possible that they have to draft Jaden Ivey?
I just want them to see with all guards and all centers, and then like no forwards or threes at all. Like ideally they trade Harrison Barnes and there's just like a void between 6'4" and 6'10" on their roster.
Yeah, that's the ultimate swerve right there, John. Everybody wants wings right now. The Kings are thinking next level. No, let's get ahead of the game. Just centers and guards.
Just pure zag, no zig.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Jaden Ivey could drop to them at number 4. It would be totally understandable. Yeah. Is there anything to be made of Ivey only working for the team that's drafting 1 and 5 in the Magic and the Pistons? Anything to be made of that?
A little bit. I mean, he's trying to guide where he's going to end up, and the players have done that in the past. Or they won't release, or they only release medical information to certain teams, or only work out for certain teams. I mean, that's definitely a thing that's happened in other drafts, and tends to happen more at the top end of the draft. So this isn't necessarily unusual, especially, I hate to say it, for Sacramento. I mean, this has happened to them on multiple occasions before, because players and agents don't want their players ending up with the Kings. And so it's not ideal, but I don't think it would preclude Sacramento from drafting him. The trade I actually wonder about, which makes all kinds of sense to me, is the Pistons and Kings trading 5 for 4, and Detroit just put in a second or something. Like because there's a lot out there that suggests that maybe the Kings think Keegan Murray is a better fit for them and their roster and how they want to try to win this year. And if that's the case, rather than draft Murray at 4, we'll just take him at 5, because the Pistons love Jaden Ivey. And I think you have the threat that, we'll trade the pick somewhere else if you don't deal with us. So they can make that plausible. And then the question comes, well, what's the sugar that Detroit's going to throw in to do that trade? It probably wouldn't be anything too crazy, but I'm just wondering about a 5-for-4 swap there.
John, in the past, mentioning, say, for example, the Zion Williamson draft, he was the number one pick from weeks out, months out, in fact.
Yeah.
But this year, it's not so clear. So, those teams in second and third and fourth, how much do they try to find out exactly who the Magic are sort of leaning towards and going with? Like, how does that influence their sort of their approach to the draft on the night?
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. When we had the fourth pick in 2018, that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to figure out, okay, who's Phoenix taking? Who does Sacramento like? What's Atlanta going to do? And it was very much a influx, even until maybe a couple days for the draft, before we really had a good handle on like, okay, here's what's going to happen in front of us. And here's what's likely to be there for us at 4. I mean, you just sit there and you map out scenario. Now, fortunately, when you're that high in the draft, there's only so many scenarios to map out, right?
Right.
But you kind of map out each of the scenarios and think to yourself, okay, what will we do here? If this guy's available, what does that mean? What is our trade up possibilities? What are our trade down possibilities? And then you're talking to other teams too, because we had other teams talking to us at number 4 who we pretty much knew, like they were saying they were interested in 4, but they were only interested in 4 if one particular player got to 4, and otherwise they weren't that interested.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the same player for everybody either, you know what I mean? But just it was very specific on like, well, maybe this one scenario happens and then maybe we could trade up. And, that was probably also the scenario where we weren't going to trade down, and usually the boards are pretty similar between teams,
But you've
whatever.
only got 5 minutes too, don't you, to make that choice sometimes. So in that scenario...
You better have all your homework done before those 5 minutes on the clock start.
So
absolutely.
In that scenario, is it the general manager or is it the owner? Is it the president? I mean, who is the one who finally, in that pressure moment, it's like, all right, we've got this guy or this guy, we're going with this guy. Who usually gets that final say?
So, I mean, the GM is making the final call in the draft room, but any GM, especially with a high pick like that, it's like some importance to the franchise. Like he's mapped out the scenarios with the owner, right? Like he's just not like he's not just going off his own script.
Yeah.
It's a pretty stage managed thing by that point. That's why, we spent all this time doing workouts and interviews and all this stuff. I mean, there are a lot of long meetings in the weeks leading up to the draft about, if X, then Y, so that in those 5 minutes, it's just, it's not even something to think about.
Right.
You mentioned that on draft night, you got to have your homework done ahead of time because you only got 5 minutes. You got to have your script and you got to be able to make a call. So that makes me think, like, what is a team like Indiana going to be doing? Because they've allegedly been shopping Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner, which has kind of been the case for the past 2 seasons. They made the trade for Halliburton last year. They've got the 6th pick. It feels like they could go either way, trying to get back to the playoffs, which the Pacers usually like to do, or going for a straight-up youth movement and starting to rebuild. How hard is it to, like, walk that line on draft night where you're kind of deciding the future of your franchise? Are we going to try and win this year, or are we going to try and get a good draft pick for next season?
Yeah, Indiana has so many balls in the air right now. I do think they're leaning more toward trade Turner, trade Brogdon. I know this is the 36th time that we've heard Turner and trade rumors, but I do feel like it's a little more serious this time. And that the Pacers kind of want to go younger, build around Halliburton, number 6 pick, and whatever else they can get, in return for Brogdon and Turner, and roll with that. That is the sense I get for where they are headed. They also have $20 million in cap room. I think, that nobody's really talking about this, but like if they trade one of Brogdon or Turner, then they have enough cap room to make a run at Miles Bridges, which I think is definitely a thing they would probably pursue. So there's a lot to unpack there. They're also doing stuff with pick 31, by the way, but that's like the 7th most important Pacer thing going on, so no one's talking about it.
That's the real
big Pacer
sicko
summer
stuff there.
Yeah.
Who is your And maybe it's someone at the 31st position. But who's your sleeper or sleepers in this draft, John? I mean, we know the big names. Again, we're sort of noobs when it comes to the draft. We're not watching a lot of college basketball, but we know, of course, the big stars and the guys that are going to go 1, 2, 3 and all that. But, like, who do you have on your sleeper board that we should be, like, watching for on Thursday night and might surprise people?
Yeah. So a guy who could go probably as high as number 7 is Dyson Daniels, who played this year for G League Ignite. He wasn't in the NCAA.
Right.
Probably the one red flag is that he's Australian.
Yep. Always a worry.
Giving everybody nicknames with Y's at the end.
Okay, so you could see him going as high as 7, you said. So like,
I really liked him when I watched him. I mean, he can handle the ball. He's got good size. I think his background really checked out really well, honestly. Even though he probably uses a bunch of funny words like Lee does, he really, I mean, he plays hard. He plays the right way. He made a really good impression on people. He has a good floater game, good defender, not like a crazy explosive athlete, and he needs to get better as a shooter. But I think a lot of people like him, and I think even if it's not Portland picking at 7, I've heard that if Portland keeps the pick, that Daniels might be their guy. But even if they trade that pick, I think other teams are looking at Daniels also.
Interesting. Any other sleepers maybe, or that's sort of been skyrocketing up the board?
So,
as of late?
let's see here. I mean, I like Jeremy Sohan from Baylor. I think he's going to end up somewhere in the lottery, like somewhere between maybe like 9 and 12. Good defender. Has the potential to get a lot better offensively. And then my way out of left field guy is Josh Minott from Memphis, who I think most people have projected in the second round. I think he's a real sleeper. I think he could be a good player. And
tell us about him for those, again, like myself that have.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play that much for Memphis this year, but when he did, he was really good. He's a good passer, pretty active, long arm defender, fouls a lot, has to get better as a shooter, like just kind of a raw player.
Right.
But as a combo forward who can switch, can handle the ball a little, has a pretty good feel for the game. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Let's talk about one mystery man, because that's such an intriguing story. Shaedon Sharpe of Kentucky, a 6'6" swingman, some Canadian content. He's Canadian, but he didn't play the entire season for Kentucky, and he opted to jump into the draft. And he's projected to be a high lottery pick. What's the story there?
Yeah, I mean, he was number one ranked player in his high school class, and they thought he would come out. They thought he would play college this year and then be in next year's draft, and he reclassified. But he came in kind of late, and originally the plan was for him to spend like a gap year almost on Kentucky's bench and never play in the games, and then play for Kentucky for real next year. And then he kind of skipped the second part when, he realized he'd be a top 10 pick anyway, I think. I've seen him, quote unquote, play. I watched him work out before the game against St. Peter's in the NCAA tournament. He can really shoot. So that part's going to check out. By all accounts, like good athlete, decent size. Like he's probably more a 2 than a 3. My buddy that I wrote the article about for The Athletic, the chair, he worked out against him.
Oh, wow.
So
is he going to get drafted, the chair?
Yeah, I heard the chair's going in the second round. Yeah.
He's waiting for the call. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm hoping he can maybe get a summer league invite this year, but we just got to see.
Hey, whose stock really rose after the combine this year? Because I know that Nikola Jovic, his name was talked about a lot. I mean, can a guy really climb up the board from just showing, he's got the good skills and things like that without necessarily playing? Like it's just he's got good length and good athleticism and things like that?
Jovic, I think for some people who maybe hadn't seen him overseas, he was able to work out against my buddy the chair again and in front of executives. So that may have helped him a little bit. I'm not really sure on him because I've heard mixed feedback about, I think some people like him more than others. The guy who really rose at the combine was Jalen Williams from Santa Clara. You watch him on tape with Santa Clara. I actually was watching another team for another player, and I'm like, who is this guard on Santa Clara? He's huge, and he's making plays and stuff. Because he was basically playing point guard, even though he's probably like a 3 in the NBA. Has a good handle, good shooter. I think he's just a good, solid all-around player. I don't know if I see like star potential with him, but I think he's a guy when you get into that 13 to 20 range that a lot of teams are looking at. And he really rose very late in the process.
Are there any player types that you're noticing seem to be rising up draft boards this year? Because I'm thinking like, you know, when Draymond first kind of came on the scene for the Warriors, everybody started looking for a super versatile, maybe small ball 5 sort of defender. Or after the Spurs had success with Boris Diaw, you need a big playmaker, things like that. Is there like a body type kind of out there that teams are looking for now, having seen success in the NBA?
6'7" wings. That's what everyone's looking for. That's why Benedict Mathurin is going to go as high as he does. That's why Dyson Daniels is moving up. That's why I think Jalen Williams has moved up. I think that's why you're going to see somebody take a flyer on Ousmane Deng from the New Zealand Breakers, originally from France, even though he didn't have a great year, just because he fits that, you know, size, length. Everyone's looking for small forwards all the time, and you can play 5 of them at the same time almost, the way the NBA is going. So you can almost never have too many. So that's if there's a type that teams are looking for, that is absolutely it.
Unless you're the Kings, I suppose.
Exactly.
None of them.
Exactly. They're just
all Kings, no wings.
Well,
all Kings, no wings.
Oh, he loves it.
Oh my God, you hit on something.
That's going to be a headline on The Athletic tomorrow. Written by John
totally,
Hollinger. Yeah. Somebody tweeted in last night when I said you were coming on the show, John. Nick wanted to know, he's sort of flipping it on its head because we're always asking about sleepers or who do you like in the top 10. Nick wanted to know, who's a player you don't think is worth the consensus projected pick? Someone that maybe you're not as high on. Is it Chet Holmgren? Is it somebody else?
Johnny Davis from Wisconsin.
Okay.
I just don't think he's going to be what he would need to be offensively to justify a top 10 pick. So I that's one I struggle with.
Okay.
I think Ousmane Deng, I think has gotten a little overrated. People have gotten ahead of themselves on that one. Ochai Agbaji from Kansas would probably be the other one, where I see him more as like a second rounder, maybe back end rotation guy. He could end up going in the lottery.
John, so, you know, obviously every year you want the number 1 pick. Every franchise wants it. But in a year like this, where there isn't the Zion Williamson, there isn't that like absolute lock, is it okay being 2 and 3 where you're like, you might luck into Kevin Durant? I mean, you might get the Kevin Durant there at number 2. Or do you just say, no, I want to have first choice no matter what?
Yeah, I think you'd still rather have first choice. I mean, that Durant draft was interesting because it was Odin and Durant all year. And then everyone was like, well, you don't want to be number 3.
Right.
Number 3 ended up being Al Horford,
he's
right?
all right.
He turned out okay.
Yeah.
So,
but there's a lot of pressure, though, isn't there, on Orlando to make sure that they don't, in 2 years' time, go, man, they left this guy and this guy on the board and they took...
In some ways, like Houston is really in the low stress position, right? Because everyone perceives a top 3 and Houston's just going to take the third guy, basically.
Right. And then that guy's going to be pissed that he went third. It's like the best of both worlds. He's like, I'm better than those other 2 guys. So he's already got that going for him. Well, let's put your feet to the fire here. Let's make some predictions. 1 through 5 on Thursday night, John. How's it going with the Magic, then the Thunder, then the Rockets, then the Kings, and then obviously the Pistons, though you say there could be some movement there, especially between Detroit and Sacramento. But how's this going 1 through 5 in your mind on Thursday?
I'll say Holmgren goes first to Orlando.
Okay.
I'll say the second pick will be either Smith or Holmgren, whoever Orlando doesn't take.
Okay.
That's who Oklahoma City will take. There's been a little bit of muttering that they might like Jaden Ivey too, but I think that's more like if they try to jump in from 12 and move up that way. I don't think they're taking Jaden Ivey at 2. 3, Houston will take Paolo Banchero.
Okay.
4, the fourth pick, I don't know which team will make the pick. The player will be Jaden Ivey.
Okay.
And then I think Keegan Murray goes 5th, although there is a little bit more noise that maybe Benedict Mathurin could be that pick for Detroit.
He's Canadian as well, isn't he? Benedict. Is that right?
I would know.
What a name.
Do I have that right? I think he is.
He is of Haitian extraction,
right.
but I think he has a Canadian passport.
Yeah, I think that's correct. All right, I'll be cheering for him then on Thursday night.
Teaching us so many things, John. I want to thank you for everything, including letting us know via your top 75 draft board that Julian Champagny is Justin Champagny's twin brother.
Oh, there you go.
Incredible stuff. I'm interested in that. And one last question for you. It might be a little unfair. It's coming from a stream teamer who's watching you on YouTube. Bill Malarkey says, why is Hollinger listening to a portable Walkman circa 1996 with those headphones?
What jams do you got on right now in your cans there?
It's the only way I can listen to my cassette tapes of Queensryche. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Hey man, 96 was a good draft. Maybe that's why you're rocking them there. Well, we will see your work all week this week on The Athletic, including the live blog. Are you working during the draft on the live blog, John, I imagine?
Yes, I am. Yes. Yeah. It's going to be me and Sam Pacini partying all night long.
Nice. There you go.
It's a perfect companion to the draft. So thanks a lot, John. We'll be reading your stuff all week. Appreciate the time. As always, we'll get to some Kyrie talk after the break. More Kyrie talk. And lots of NBA rumors, plus the Warriors parade. So stay tuned.
Peloton! Our old friend. It's been a minute since we've talked Peloton around here. You all right, buddy?
I'm fine. Yeah.
Couldn't just have it on the table from the get-go.
Oh, it has been a minute since we've talked Peloton around here, but guess what, Tass?
What, Trey?
Peloton is still pushing you further with so much new classes, new music, new ways to keep your workouts fun and motivating, because keeping things fresh is the best way to stay motivated and keep from burning out on doing the same thing over and over. What kind of new, you ask, Tass Mellis?
Yes.
Well, I dipped in today to look ahead to my yoga workout later, and I found a variety of interesting classes. They've got Juneteenth classes. They've got Father's Day classes. They have Muhammad Ali shadow boxing cardio.
Oh, that'd be tough.
I see they have Anna Greenberg doing prenatal and postnatal yoga classes while pregnant. They even have a Barbara Streisand yoga class, which is what I'm probably going to be focusing in on here. Because Peloton really does have a workout for every goal, day, and mood, and today is a Streisand kind of day. So stay motivated while having fun with bike workouts, yoga, meditation, dance cardio, and more. Visit onepeloton.com to learn more. That's OnePeloton.com.
Lee, tell me if you agree with this statement. Shopping for new clothes can be time-consuming and stressful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I personally hate it.
I do too.
And I like clothes.
I do too.
But I
I
don't
can't
love
just go
searching.
like without knowing what I'm looking for, just to go browsing. I've got to be like, this is what I want, this is where I'm going.
Well, why not let Stitch Fix do all of the work so you can spend more time doing things you love? Shooting hoops,
Yep.
eating bananas,
Yep.
napping.
Napping, yeah, sometimes, yeah.
It's easy and fun to get started with Stitch Fix. First, you take a few minutes to set up your Stitch Fix style profile. You answer a few questions about what you like to wear, shirts, what you don't like to wear, pants, and how open you are to trying new styles. Very open.
That's actually interesting for me because I'm like you. I like wearing shirts.
Yeah.
I don't like wearing shorts.
You don't
I
like wearing
prefer
shorts?
pants.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I wore shorts for the happy hour that one time.
Yeah.
Too much leg for me. But I love trying new styles,
Oh.
so maybe.
Hey.
You give me a long enough short.
That's
maybe in the
why
mix.
we have different profiles. That's the beauty of
So
Stitch
true.
Fix. So then you do that, and then Stitch Fix's expert stylists go to work finding items exclusively for you. That's right. Every piece handpicked just for you. It's unique to your size and your style and your budget, which is important, making it the best way to discover clothes that make you look and feel your best. Stitch Fix then sends you 5 pieces to try on at home, okay? Try them on, look in front of the mirror, go to Roxy, what do you think? And then you keep what you love, and then you send back what you don't. You always love this type of stuff. Shipping,
Absolutely.
returns, exchanges, easy and free. Plus, no subscription required. I know there's some other type of things out there. They get you with the subscription.
Yeah.
I'm not here. No hidden fees ever with Stitch Fix. So sign up today at stitchfix.com/nodunks and you get $20 off your first purchase. That's stitchfix.com/nodunks. Get $20 off your first purchase. Limited time offer. Purchase within 2 days of signing up. All right, back with the boys here in the Classic Factory. Thanks again to John Hollinger with The Athletic for jumping on, talking about the NBA draft. Shout out to the stream teamers. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment away as you are already. Okay, we got some news and notes here. Yeah, we got to talk about Kyrie. We sort of teased about talking about it on yesterday's show, but that Sham's article had dropped right before we went live. But Shams writes this. Let me just read this part to you. Okay, Kyrie Irving has a June 29th deadline on his $36.9 million player option for the 22-23 season. However, multiple sources tell The Athletic that conversations about Irving's future have gone stagnant between him and the Brooklyn Nets. An impasse currently exists among the parties that clears the way for the 7-time All-Star to consider the open marketplace. Here we go again with Kyrie. Here we go, Trey. Is Kyrie done in Brooklyn? Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. What's going on?
Ooh, I love an impasse. I hate when those negotiations get stagnant. This is Kyrie Irving, so who knows? Literally impossible. As soon as this report came out, he tweeted a gif of Brother Muzan smiling.
Yeah.
No clue how to even interpret that. I was like, what is this supposed to mean? But basically what it comes down to is the same thing it's come down to for Kyrie Irving and the Nets. The Nets want him fully committed to the team next year. They're probably hesitant to give him a long-term deal. Jake Fisher at Bleacher Report today reported that the Nets want to give Kyrie a shorter-term, incentive-laden agreement that includes benchmarks such as games played, which makes sense if you're the Nets.
Yeah.
From Kyrie's perspective, he's 30 years old, so he wants security. And when he's on the court, he's been an all-NBA level player. He's been incredible since playing for the Nets, but he's had a lot of reasons not to play for the Nets. Played 103 games in 3 seasons. Wow. My guess, though, is that he does begin the season in Brooklyn. Alex Schiffer over The Athletic broke down 4 scenarios, and it basically comes down to Kyrie can decline his option and leave for nothing, but the teams he's interested in basically don't have cap space. The Nets can also offer him the most money, the most years, and they don't want to lose him for nothing. So kind of all parties involved want something to happen rather than just Kyrie leaving, I would think. Then you go into the trade scenarios. A Knicks trade probably pretty unlikely unless RJ Barrett is included, in which case, why are you including RJ Barrett?
It's the
Lakers. It is the Knicks. They haven't been as Knicksy since
That's
Leon
true.
Rose
No,
takes
that's
it.
not happening.
But we're all waiting for it. We're all waiting for that next Knicksy move. The Lakers Westbrook trade is literally hilarious. Like, couldn't be a funnier possible trade to have Kyrie and LeBron reunite and KD and Westbrook reunite.
Right.
Seems unlikely. The Clippers trade that's rumored, Norm Powell, Morris, Kennard, Mann, Jackson, Covington.
Holy crap.
That's interesting for Brooklyn, I do think, just because it rebuilds their rotation like this. Suddenly, they have the Clippers rotation.
Right.
But do the Clippers want to roll forward with Kawhi, Paul George, and Kyrie Irving? I mean, they're all healthy for about 60 games as well, so I don't know about that one.
Okay.
Kyrie could sign for the max. Does not seem likely at all. Or he can sign his player option this year, go into free agency next year, which is kind of what I think happens. Maybe it extends the trade window. We saw this year the Sixers brought Simmons in, knowing he probably wasn't going to play for him. The Nets had Harden around for quite some time, knowing he wasn't going to be completely committed to them during the middle of the season. So it keeps the team competitive, and it maybe just extends the chance for better offers to come forward, just the way things happened with Harden and Simmons last year. So I think Kyrie's still going to be a Net at the beginning of training camp at the beginning of the season next year.
Yay.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be very cool.
What do you think, Tess?
Well, if I'm the Nets, I can't just sign him to a long-term deal, especially because they have Ben Simmons sitting there. Remember him? I mean, he is such a question mark himself. So it's sort of like what Trey brought up with the Clippers. Do you want to have multiple question marks on your roster? I think Kyrie is, kind of screwed because Ben Simmons is also on the roster. I don't think they go forward with 2 monster deals. Ben Simmons is making between 35 and 40 for the next 3 seasons. How can you put Kyrie beside him when Kyrie hasn't been there because of injuries? Obviously, COVID is an issue, was an issue, and maybe that's not fair to him. It doesn't necessarily mean that's going to change in the future, but they also were just bounced in the first round. They had a great game 1 against the Boston Celtics. They lost at the end, and then the team just shut down. So how do you go forward paying those same guys for multiple years? It does make sense what Sean Marks is saying. I don't know what Kyrie Irving's tweet meant, but he also said at the end of the year that, we're going forward as leaders of this team and as leaders of this franchise. Like, he put his name in the same breath with Sean Marks and the ownership. So and now he tweets these things. Like, it's unfortunate. I can see Sean Marks said that they wanted, as a franchise, to go back to that sort of, we're all working together, we're all hard at the grind, doing that kind of thing. So it's a mess. If Kyrie doesn't want to sign an incentive-based deal, and he just wants to sign a max deal, I mean, it's an impasse, baby. I mean, that's an impasse. That is two different ideologies, two different thoughts. So I can understand the word impasse being used here.
And I think Kyrie is not getting the vibe that other teams, because a lot of them don't have the space anyway, that max deal is out there if he opts out immediately now. So I think he realizes, like, to get the most money, he does have to be traded, and then potentially a team can sign him.
So you don't think the Knicks would bend over backwards to try and create the cap space to sign Kyrie to a max contract?
Probably not. Okay. I don't think so. I think they would like
to
have...
They could get there. I know Fred Katz had a great breakdown on The Athletic. I mean, it takes a lot of work to get there.
It's Fournier and Burks and guys like that.
And then that means you're including draft picks to get off those contracts and opening up the room. Yeah.
And so if you're the Nets, it's like, maybe we can do something with those assets. Potentially. There's not much out there, but at least you move on there from Kyrie. But, I mean, if you're the Nets, if you're Sean Marks and Joseph Tsai there, for sure you're saying, we'll give you a decent contract, but you have to agree to these things. And if Kyrie's like, I'm not agreeing to any of those things, then why would they sign him to anything else? I mean, like Trey mentioned, 103 games, and then in the playoffs last season, he had a really good game one, Kyrie. He had 39 points. Awesome fourth quarter, nearly won them the game. Yeah. He had 46 points the rest of the series, and that was like a glorified 46. He was not engaged the rest of that series, so he kind of checked out. And that's the thing with Kyrie, is like, when he's on, when he really is focused, like he nearly took Brooklyn to win in that game one. He was awesome in the fourth quarter, but that was really the only time he gave it his all in that series.
So you like the idea of the Nets, Sean Marks, the organization, sort of digging their feet in a little bit and saying, okay, come on, we're not going to be pushovers every time you want something or you want to go your way. We have to have a bit of a backbone here.
Well, they've got some leverage there for sure.
Well, I don't know what leverage Kyrie really has. No, well, outside of, I guess, Durant. That's an interesting part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
How does Durant feel about his buddy Kyrie?
The speculation.
Because if you piss off him, then you're in trouble. But
I mean, the speculation that what Kevin Durant's position is going to be, but we don't know until we see exactly what they do there. But the Nets. I think the Nets are saying, listen, we want you to be the player we know you can be, but you have to do these things. And Kyrie seems to be like, no, I'm not agreeing to anything. That's what it sounds like based on the reporting here.
Maybe Kenny Atkinson denied the Hornets job because the Nets are going to promise him a rebuilding lineup without Kyrie, without Kevin Durant even. What a rumor. That's not true, but they were sort of leaning or trying to go back to that Kenny Atkinson era where everybody's playing for each other, and this is Splitsville already. No, he was after that.
Right.
We will wait and see. It's Kyrie. I mean, the news will change in 24 hours, and there'll be another tweet or another leak to whoever from his camp and whatever. I mean, look, what were the teams he was interested in? The Knicks, the Clippers, and the Lakers.
Yeah.
Which again is perfect for Sean Marks, because he can't go there just of his own free will and get big money. He could if he wanted to sign some sort of
Would you
deal.
put it past Kyrie Irving? This is the crazy part. To take the most insane discount to go play wherever he wanted.
So opt out of the 36 or whatever.
Yep, and then go sign with, I don't know, the Knicks or whoever he wanted to play with for $5 million.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he would do that. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but if any NBA player would do that, you'd probably say it could be him. Because he looks at things a little differently.
A Ricky Williams situation.
I guess.
I mean, Ricky Williams walked away, but, almost walking away. That'd be nuts. Giving up 30 to 40?
Woo! What do you think the Brother Muzan tweet meant? What could that have possibly meant? He just smiled. He just smiled by offense.
It's got to be him and Durant know something that the rest of the world doesn't. It's Brother Muzan. He's smarter than everybody else.
Right.
Right. Like, he's got knowledge that other people don't have.
So he is reacting to the Sham's news of it all, and
the Sham's news is interesting because it was
I don't think it was coming from the Nets. Let's say that. My gut says Shams was getting this information from Kyrie or Kyrie's camp. No?
No, 100%. That's what I mean. So it's like, I think he knew, okay, it's coming out now.
Yeah.
Now it's time to tweet that GIF.
Wasn't Brother Muzan was like, he was a bit of a mercenary character, right? Like he would come in from out of town to going from city to city performing his jobs. Does that mean anything?
Oh, jeez, maybe. Man.
You think he was the smartest one, huh?
Yeah. He was the most well-read, I think, of everybody.
Great library. That's a good point. Great library. Tidy dresser.
He also had street smarts.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I'm personally Marlo. I think Marlo is the smartest because he
Interesting.
understood where he was in the game.
Man.
Everybody was trying to get out of the game. Marlo lived the game.
Oh, yeah.
Marlo lived it.
All right. Let's hear everybody's thoughts on all of this
Marlo
stuff.
tried to get everybody else out. He tried to get the old heads out as well. He tried to take over the game as the young. So
yes, indeed.
I'm just trying to read it. Maybe you should have tweeted Marlo instead, trying to get rid of Sean Marks. He wants to be the owner. It feels like he wants. Joe Tsai, what's up?
Yeah.
Give me ownership.
All right, let's put Kyrie to bed here for a second. Besides Kyrie, here's my next question. What was the juiciest tidbit from Sham's inside pass that he posted yesterday, which had a lot of rumors about other players and other teams' interest in those players? What jumped out to you besides Kyrie, obviously?
A lot of rumors, and I feel like they have a lot of oxygen because of the free agency crop, and John Hollinger, who we just had on, also fan those flames as well. It feels like there's a lot of chatter out there that teams want to be able to dictate their future, but with trades, because again, there's just not great free agents out there. So let's do it now. And I'm buying a lot of these here in Atlanta. John Collins has been rumored to be dealt for a long time. Where that is, I don't know, but it sort of makes sense even with what the direction that teams are going. Wings, big wings, and John doesn't necessarily fit that. He's also not a shot blocking center. So it's an interesting one for sure. And it's staying in Atlanta. The Minnesota Timberwolves want Clint Capella apparently. And I know that's not the juiciest of names, but it gets pretty interesting that you would play Clint Capella alongside a Karl Anthony Towns, a shooter, and Karl Anthony Towns would, I guess if we're doing the all-NBA ballots again, he probably wouldn't be a center anymore if Clint's beside him. And it makes sense because the Wolves ranked dead last in defensive rebounding last season. Clint Capella sucks him up. That stat via Dane Moore. And sticking with the bigs and the rebounding, we talked about the Pacers and Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner 1,000 times, and it feels like they're going the young route. They just traded for Tyrese Halliburton. I don't think they want Brogdon and Halliburton long term, and it just feels like that is actually going to happen because they have the number 6 pick. So much juice. Feels like there's going to be some trades.
It does feel like the Pacers are not far away from making a move, be it Brogdon going out or Turner going out or both of them going out. I know the Knicks and the Wizards with their picks being linked to the Pacers a lot there, and the idea of maybe getting Brogdon, bringing in a point guard. What do you think about what do you think about anything that Taz said there or anything else from that article?
Well, the Hawks last season, remember, Travis Schlenk basically said we didn't make any moves and we should have, and it feels like they're not going to make that mistake this season. They're in fact going to make basically everyone apart from Trey and DeAndre Hunter apparently available. And the John Collins one is interesting because put me down as a John Collins stan still. I think he's really good, especially in the playoffs. I think he's very, very good. He was great last season in that long run that they had. But I also think that maybe he's not quite the right fit there now during the regular season because his numbers have slowly just sort of dropped off. He was 20-10 there for a couple of seasons in Atlanta, but now he's sort of coming back a little bit. So I think they're trying to look. He's a young guy. He's got a pretty good contract, 5 years, $125 million. That's very movable, and I think there is going to be a lot of interest in him because he can shoot the three. He can be an impactful player without necessarily having to touch the ball. So maybe a new role there for him. And Capella, it sounds as well, they're trying to find a home for him because I think they are going to make a run for DeAndre Ayton somehow. Exactly.
Could
how
be John Collins.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Mark Stein, I believe, in his newsletter, has said James Jones has always been enamored with John Collins, and maybe there is a sign.
So, and then with some draft picks or whatever, you can make something like that happen. So I think the Hawks are almost certainly going to make a fairly significant move here. over the next few days.
And then Stein and I believe Jeremy Wu of SI said keep an eye on the Blazers maybe making a move for a John Collins with that number 7 pick. Also a possibility, I guess.
Sounds like he's gone, Collins. And it sounds like the Hawks are probably going to have a completely new front court, which is quite the change up from the way we've seen in the past. Because, I mean, if they trade Capella and John Collins, is it going to be like Gallinari and Okongwu as their starters? I don't know. Maybe should have made the moves last year. And it'll be interesting to see if Collins ever gets back to playing like he did in the playoffs, because that was his contract year. So, I don't know. Collins is good. But that's why I think the Hawks are kind of interested in trading him, because you can upgrade, no doubt about it. The Hawks have a lot of good guys. They need a second great guy alongside Trae Young. The most juiciest tidbit to me, though, is that the Hornets may be hesitant to match a max offer sheet for Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges last year, 20 points per game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 49 from the field, 33 from 3. Not as great as his 40% in the 21 season, but he's just 24 years old. He's eligible to sign a deal that would pay a max of $131 million over 4 years. Probably not worth that, I don't think, Miles Bridges, but he could be. He's young. And the main thing for the Hornets is they would have no way to really replace him. And as he goes further into his career, we'll see how he goes improvement-wise, but he should still be a player that's kind of in demand, being a 6'7" wing like we just heard about with John.
He's 24?
Hollinger.
Yeah. I think the Hornets are... I mean, if this is true and they don't want to give him this, I think it's silly. You're the Hornets. Like,
they got to. Yeah, they got to. Because there are teams that could be interested. Jake Fisher mentioned the Pistons and the Pacers. Both should have cap space. And, like, he's young. He's still going to be on that same timeline for young teams. And he's a really nice fit alongside LaMelo. So maybe this is just a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe Miles Bridges' agents is trying to drum up some interest from other teams to try and get that max deal, because it seems unbelievable to me that the Hornets would just draft him, develop him, then he gets paid and you let him go.
Right. And when he turned into a 20-point-per-game scorer and does other things...
20 points per game ain't what it used to be,
No, it's not. He's a bit of a two-way player, too. I don't think
he's a bit of a John Collins, I think. Pretty good.
Okay.
Who would you rather?
Pretty good.
Yeah. He's a Jaylen Brown light.
Quite light. Yeah,
quite light, but give him more time. Maybe he can turn into that.
Yeah,
I think
he's
have
a good
to,
player.
Though. They should definitely keep him, but we'll see. Anything else from that article, or any other rumors you want to address here?
No, I mean, definitely teams are like got good players like this, and they're like, would John Collins make the Hornets better? Would Miles Bridges make the Hawks better? Like, probably not significantly. They're probably a bit of a wash in that sense, but maybe in a new situation, something like that could help those players.
Well, something else happened yesterday. In addition to all the trade rumors flying around in the Kyrie news, we had the Golden State Warriors championship parade. I'm not sure how much you guys caught of this. Maybe you saw a lot of just the social clips going around the Twitters and stuff like that. Did you have a favorite moment, though? I feel like there was like a million things happening at this parade. It looked like one hell of a party, I gotta say. Like, if you're a Warriors fan and you were there in San Francisco, that looked like a good time, great weather. But you have a favorite moment?
I mean, pretty much anything Clay did yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
And it started off great for him because his hat blew off on his boat on the way to
Why is that good? He lost his championship hat.
Yeah, but then he said afterwards, I do not condone littering. I tried to find her, but now she's one with the ocean, unfortunately. That's why I have the captain's hat on, because he did have that.
That part was amazing.
I mean,
They couldn't find an extra hat for Clay.
I'm happy they couldn't. He had the captain hat on all day.
But just, I do not condone littering. Like, it's okay. We saw it just blow up. No one say you just chucked it at left off. Clay let out a massive yawn while Draymond was addressing the crowd yesterday. He plowed through a fan yesterday.
Yeah, he was like trying to get over to the fan. And he was stumbling and then nailed a woman to the ground. Yeah.
He dropped one of his championship rings on the street. Like, those are worth thousands and thousands of dollars.
Priceless.
Yeah. But my favorite part was when he decided to bust out a move with the Larry O'Brien trophy. We have the clip here. He was strolling along. Here he is. Look at him.
This guy's having the time of his life.
And then he's just like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. Why did he do this?
Put this down on the ground real quick.
Did somebody yell at him to do that?
Who cares? Who knows? It's Clay. You never really know what's going on. But, man, he was having the time of his life. And he was also in the hot tub, I think, back at the facility there afterwards yesterday. Like, man, what a day we had. So it was great. Clay, I mean, that's a TV show right there. Just follow Clay around.
Yeah. And he called out his other two of the big three. He called out Draymond. He said That guy has the maturity of a third grader. And then he called out Curry, who cries on a basketball court.
Right.
Killing it, Clay. These guys, it's just, they know how to do a parade. Like you said, a million things happen.
It looks fun.
Oh, the most action of a parade. Look, we enjoyed the Raptors parade, watching it from afar. No equivalency here of how fun this was.
Correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause I don't remember other parades doing this or other championship parades. They flipped it on its head. They did the let's talk to the crowd prior to then let's jump in the buses and make our way down the street here. I like that. That's what I think 100 times better than usually you see. They start the parade, then they end with everybody, on stage and talking to the crowd. They flipped it on its head.
Maybe that changed because
that.
Draymond tweeted something that they said no one was going to speak, and he was like, maybe I'll just stay in the crib.
Yeah.
So maybe they decided, well, let's let him speak.
Well, I don't know. That's how they did it. I thought it was. I saw Fitzy had bars too, and when he was introducing all the players, I don't know if you guys saw that clip. And then Jordan Poole with the Super Soaker, really leaning into the pool party vibe. I like that. He's like grabbed onto that brand. That's smart.
This is a very water forward team. Between Klay Thompson's boating, the Splash Brothers, Poole out there spraying everybody.
Right.
But I'm with Tass. Like, the big thing here is that they took their time. Like, this was a lengthy parade. Think about the Atlanta Braves championship parade. It took them 3 hours to go 1.5 miles, the Warriors. Atlanta, they went from Atlanta to Cobb County in like 30 minutes. That was crazy, man. So slow it down, and we get a whole bunch of great moments like this. Draymond swearing at people, Steph dropping the mic, hitting the night-night. The announcer having no clue where does night come from? Did you watch a single game?
Yeah,
I don't think so, Tim. And we had the guy from Workaholics there just hanging out.
Yeah.
Just hanging. Blake.
Someone brought their goat along and put a Steph Curry
There was that. There was a funny clip I saw, some kid proposing to Riley Curry, and it's just it's shot really amazing. She sees it, and she seems like she's a little embarrassed, but excited and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot happening. At some point, Aisha Curry is lifting dead weights. Did you guys see this?
I saw that. Yeah, in the
That
gym,
was at the parade.
I don't know.
I'm guessing
Saw
it
her
was.
deadlift. That was at the parade.
I'm guessing it was just something she did at some point, and that would just.
Well,
got
she was
shared
wearing the
yesterday.
same thing.
Yeah, but she's been wearing that in the clubs
True.
as well, and she was dry humping the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Sure,
in, one of the clubs. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a party there yesterday. Looked like a lot of fun. So yeah, let's hear from you guys. Any other moments we're missing? It feels like we're missing like another 100 moments. We could have done a whole podcast on just the things that happened yesterday.
Steph was lying on the sidewalk doing the night-night. There's a shot from, one of the best players in the world's lying on the sidewalk amidst everybody doing the night-night, like sleeping on his hands.
There was one thing Steph was doing yesterday was making me laugh. There's a great photo. He's got the cigar hanging out of his mouth, and then he's holding all of his hardware.
Yeah.
But he's not holding the Larry O'Brien trophy because I feel like Clay had that for most of the day. But he's got the Finals MVP.
Yeah.
He's got the All-Star Game MVP trophy, the Kobe trophy, and then he's got the Magic Johnson Western Conference Finals MVP. This guy, I mean, what a team player for the NBA. He's leaning into like, hey, this means something, and I'm going to carry it around. At first, I was like, what the hell is that? Why does he have 2 Finals MVPs? And like, oh, yeah, that's what that is.
I like their shirt as well. That was well done. The back again with the IV.
Oh, yeah, the 4.
Wow. Clever.
Good stuff.
Yeah, very clever.
Did you like Chris Chiozza's shirt?
Yes.
Stone Cold Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Steve Kerr give somebody a stunner.
Wow. Who would you like to see Steve Kerr give a stunner to?
Bielitsa.
Wow, someone on his own team. I wasn't expecting that. I thought maybe you were going to go like John Morant or something. There's a lot of beef between
they're really beefing hard with the Grizzlies.
Oh, yeah.
I guess they just are like, they're picking a young team they've got some history with. They're like, we're going to need to stay motivated over the next few seasons,
totally.
so we're picking a young competitive team.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's I guess anything to get you fired up.
Yep.
And
I
they're
think
already doing it.
Kirk could give it to Pop. I mean, they're perfect rivals, don't you think?
Yeah, that would be like Stone Cold giving it to Vince McMahon. Curry giving it to
Retires,
Pop.
like the retirement match. Steve Kerr stuns Popovich, becomes the Spurs coach, just like that.
He has got some beef with D'Antoni, though, Steve Kerr, so maybe that's it. Because they're more friendly, I think, Popovich and Steve Kerr.
Of course.
Of course. But him and D'Antoni, they didn't get along in Phoenix, and, that's had some rivalries of the Rockets as well in the past. So
All right. That's a great question for everybody out there. Who would you like to see Stone Cold Steve Kerr give the stunner to? Let us know who and why. All right, let us know in the stream team. Tweet it in your answers if you're listening later at No Dunks Inc. Anything else that you wanted to slip in there from the parade? No? Okay.
Great day.
Great day.
Yeah.
Great
Was
day.
indeed. We'll take our final break here, and when we come back, tweet of the night. Don't go anywhere.
Are you trying to get slim for the summer? We'll take some tips from the No Dunks Magic Spoon crew. Because we're all keeping off the LBs and we're losing that weight in the kitchen by starting our day off right. You may not want to go full keto, but you can do that with Magic Spoon, and it totally doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. It feels like you're cheating. Healthy, and it tastes great. Better than those other carb-free cereals. This is factual. That's a fact. I've tried them all. Magic Spoon, heavy on the protein, 13 to 14 grams, while having only 4 net grams in each serving. The honey nut flavor has only 1 gram of sugar, and check the flavors. Build your own box with 9 available flavors. Your own custom bundle can be made from cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, cookies and cream, maple waffle, blueberry muffin, cinnamon roll. Gotta try that, and honey nut. For real, those are all the flavors. Only 140 calories a serving, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And Magic Spoon just brought back their cereal bars. They were so popular that they brought them back permanently. It's the perfectly convenient on-the-go companion for your cereal. Go to magicspoon.com/nodunks to grab a custom bundle of cereal, and be sure to use our promo code. From the Magic Spoon No Dunks crew, it's No Dunks at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/nodunks and use the code NODUNKS to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
New Starbucks Bio Energy drink with caffeine naturally found in coffee fruit. It's energy that's good. It's a refreshing, fruit-flavored boost of feel-good energy in a way only Starbucks can deliver. Because each one of these babies here, each 12-ounce, 90-calorie can contains 160
Did you move the
milligrams.
candle so we can see it? Not that one.
Oh, he wants you to see the nutrition. That's the most
yeah.
important part.
Nobody cares about that.
There you
This
are.
guy in these cans.
Yeah. Okay, where is it? There we go.
Perfect.
There we go.
We
Look at
got
it. Right. Now, my favorite flavor is... Which one? Let's do a little press your luck here. Press your luck. Big dollars, big dollars.
No whammies.
No whammy. Stop. Yes.
Wow.
Pineapple passion fruit. That's my favorite one here. It's so juicy and refreshing on a hot, beautiful Atlanta day down here. Man, it's been stinking hot down here. So this
It
is what
wasn't
you
too
need.
bad yesterday.
No, yesterday actually was. We had wind, which was incredible.
It was nice.
We
That
had
would breeze.
We had a breeze. It was like, what
exciting.
is this?
But you're right. Otherwise, it's been
Last week
unbearable.
was gross, yeah. Starbucks Bio Energy drink packs energy and flavor that gives me the boost when gearing up to watch the big game. Head on stage for a show. I'll go on stage for a show, why not? Yeah, sure. Or just go from meeting to meeting. Starbucks Bio Energy drink is available online at grocery stores, convenience stores, and gas stations nationwide.
Nice final look there at those cans.
Yeah.
Now that we got them all lined up. Great cans. Let's get to tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Okay, I got tweet of the night duties. Now, look, I could have kept this pretty simple if I wanted to and gone with those Ja Morant and Draymond Green and Grizzlies versus the Warriors type tweets. Could have done that. I could have went with Kevin Durant clapping back at Charles Barkley, that old head who had some things to say about KD. You know, they got going on there.
Again?
Yeah, I know. And just happens every couple weeks for
They're
sure.
just maybe they're doing another pod together and trying to build it up.
Possibly,
you know?
possibly. I avoided all of that because I saw a tweet come in this morning, actually. Tweet of the morning. And it's from one, Tass Mellis. And we got to show this to you here on YouTube. For our podcast listeners, we are showing you a hat that the MLB has made for the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's disgusting because Tass Mellis tweets, as a dual citizen, I'm in the position to declare, this is hideous. And, well, Tass, how would you describe this hat for the podcast listeners? It's obviously a Jays hat with just the stars and stripes incorporated of the American flag.
I saw a tweet from my friend Gourmet Spud. He said if Hacksaw Jim Duggan was coming out in Toronto and screaming USA, USA, I think this would be the hat equivalent.
Wow, what a tweet from Gourmet Spud. Okay.
There's no way to say it. It's the red and white emblazoned with the stars and stripes.
Right. And now they did this for every MLB team.
Yeah.
This stars and stripes look. Yeah, so that's what's going on here.
But Canada is not America. Do the other 29 baseball teams have to wear Canada Day hats?
No, they don't. I don't believe so.
No.
I saw some other great tweets about this. Mr. Michael Lee, I'm offended for you, he responded to you about this hat. And then @_Scott Johnson tweeted, it's mandatory for us doolies, like you, Tass, to wear this from July 1st to the 4th. I don't make the rules. So Canada Day hits on the 1st, and July 4th, of course, the American holiday. That's the window for this hat.
Yeah, I can't even. What is that? I can't. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's like the American flag pooped on Canada.
Yeah, it's like bird poop. A bird.
But like
pooped
90s bird poop.
Yeah,
you know, it's got like almost like a solo jazz cup kind of vibe. I actually had the same exact thought. This is a hat made for Tass Mellis as a dual citizen.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays are playing in America on July 4th, so they're gonna have to probably wear it there, playing against the Oakland A's. I'm a little surprised, though. Apparently, the teams get to pick whether it's a red back or a blue back. They chose red. They're the Blue Jays. Come on.
Well, yeah, I guess it's close
Wild
enough to
stuff.
Canada Day.
Yeah.
I heard a scoff, a verbal scoff from you when that image came up.
Verbal scoff.
So as a Canadian and only a Canadian, describe your scoff, please.
Well, you know, I mean, we've seen this sort of design, the Canada and the United States flag come together. I mean, you have one hanging in your garage, and it's...
Oh, yeah. Where's the
It's
burrito
much
photo?
better.
Me and Trey touching burritos in front of that flag.
It's very, I'm not a fan. Maybe it's the red Blue Jays logo. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I
that
think
does
that could
not help.
I agree
No,
with that.
there's too.
It gets washed out a little.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gross.
Lee, do you have any thoughts on this hat? Do you find it hideous like Tass tweeted?
I don't find it hideous.
Interesting.
I just think one thing I noticed about when I moved to Canada for the very first time, I think a lot of people see Canada as just an extension of the United States.
How dare you?
No, I'm just saying that's the sort of perception, right?
America's hat, if you will.
Yeah.
I think of Australia
That's
just
great.
as a
Canada's America's
bigger
hat.
New Zealand, personally. Too.
No, but
It's
see, I mean, I'm not trying to offend anyone.
no,
I'm
I'm
just
kidding.
saying, like you know, from living in Europe and Australia, like people just say, "Oh, Canada's just like it's just the 51st state of America." But when you live there, you realise, oh no, it's not. Very, very independent. Very, very independent. And Canadians are very much we're Canadians. You know, we're not Americans per se.
And
we're
someone
Canadians.
like you could come into Canada, get trapped wind,
Yeah.
can't fart at the game, have to go to the hospital, and look, you're covered, man.
Listen, I got hugged at the airport in Canada coming through customs. Remember that friend? She saw us.
she's
big
a fan of the show,
yeah,
yeah.
we got a big hug. So, you know, that's a Canadian like stereotype. They're so friendly. They're
You've
so
never been
polite.
hugged entering the United States of America
No,
by
I
a
have
customs
not.
agent? No?
I have never felt the need to reach out and say, "Yeah, bro, can we want to hug it out?" No, never. But that's all I'll say. So I can understand why people are like, listen, we're Canadians. United States of America are United States of Americans, not Americans. We're not like one, if you know what I mean.
We're North Americans.
Yeah, North Americans, yes.
North American
Is Mexico
hat.
North America?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know some people say that's where it starts. It's
You're
South
trying
America.
to test me.
No, I'm just
Trying to
saying.
get me in trouble?
Like, there's some people start it sort of there, but I always
Who starts it?
people do. People
Okay.
think people outside of here think America is Canada and the United States, and then it's like Latin America starts where
Right,
they
right.
start
They're
speaking
wrong.
Spanish. So anyway.
NAFTA. There you go.
Punctuation.
Let's call it there. Thanks again to John Hollinger, our American friend, for jumping on the show here to talk about the NBA draft. Always great to hear from one of the experts when it comes to this stuff. Looking forward to Thursday night. Email in your NBA questions to nodunks@theathletic.com. Tweet them in at nodunksthing. Get yourself an Athletic subscription. Now more than ever, you should get one if you really want to brush up on your NBA draft knowledge with John Hollinger, Sam Fassini, all of our great reporters covering the draft. Theathletic.com/no-dunks, so they know that we sent you. I believe there's a great deal still on. I think it's $1 a month for up to 6 months. I think that's still popping. I'm never quite sure.
It's always a good deal.
It's always a good deal.
Even regular prices.
Always a good deal. Follow us on the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the TikToks at No Dunks Inc. What's going to happen here for your boys is we are going to be off tomorrow and Thursday. No podcast, unless something big happens. You know, unless...
So we'll be back on tomorrow and then.
Probably.
I mean, if the impasse comes to an end?
Yes, definitely. Kyrie would be emergency podcast type material. But unless that doesn't happen, we're going to take tomorrow and Thursday off. JD, you're flying home to the great country. The 51st state.
The 51st state.
Of Canada.
Domestic
Walk
travel.
right across that border, wearing that hat. I can't wait.
You're going to hug every customs agent.
I'm
you come
hugging
across.
everybody. Everybody's getting a hug from me.
So where are you going? You're heading out east.
I'm going to Nova Scotia. That's that's Rachel's family.
Oh,
out there,
excellent.
so,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
exciting.
Awesome. So, yeah, JD's headed there later today. So, no show probably on Wednesday, Thursday. Again, we'll do an emergency podcast if it calls for it. But we will be back. The plan is in the yard at least on Friday to do a little post-draft recap.
Yes.
And whatever else is happening in the NBA. So, make sure you subscribe to No Dunks here on YouTube or wherever you listen to your No Dunks podcast. All right. Until probably Friday, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, NAFTA. It actually stands for Now a Fan of the Athletic. or
That's good.
Not a fan of the... I couldn't find a word for hat that starts with A. It doesn't exist. Now a fan of the...
Not a fan of the...
Ass ugly hat.
Ass ugly hat.
Yeah, just hyphenate it. It works. All right. Embrace the day, people.